Yeah, I am.
That reminds me of spring break. Natty light and natty ice.
At least those niggas still reserves, man. Shit.
Hey,
Worried
you
about
know,
you.
it's not about the journey; it's about the destination. You know what I mean?
Mm. Well said. That's profound for a young man to say.
I have one of those every few times. But anyway, let's get into it. 53-man prediction. A lot of stuff going on Twitter today, but excited to just kind of get that stuff, put it aside. Who cares? And talk about something that's actually going to happen. You know. So so obviously, first up, we got the defensive line group. What do you guys think? Who are the locks and who's maybe on the bubble?
All right, so kick off the shindig. I'll probably go. Obviously, we already know Calais, Pierce, Metabuke, Travis Jones. I'm trying to think who else did we get. I think just those guys, and those are my lock on four. I would say, and then we can discuss about the other guys now, or we can just wait. It's up to you guys, but I think those are a lock at four if we want to keep tabs on my count. I'll say those four. We can go around.
Yeah, so I think there's a little question on Travis Jones. Is he a guy that's going to be ready in the first 4 weeks? It's a little bit hazy on his like return timeline. It looked bad. Thankfully, it wasn't quite as bad, but who knows? If he's not ready, I could see potentially um, Isaiah Mack making it. Crawford apparently has an injury too. But I have six. We talked about this pre-show. We're not necessarily predicting what it's going to be tomorrow at 4 o'clock, Tuesday at 4 o'clock. We're talking about where it's going to be. We're heading into week one after they do all these little games they play with the IR. So I have six. I think Urban is worth keeping because they're short at outside backer. I think keeping an extra 5 tech makes sense for now. Maybe when those guys come back, it doesn't. Washington has shown enough for me, and so yeah, and then that's a six, right? Yeah, Travis Jones, Pierce, Matabike, Washington, and Urban.
Yeah, I'm lockstep with you guys. I don't think there's really much differentiation from what I got. I think that's going to be the six. I'm very curious to see what they do with Travis Jones, but I think we can wait for that till the end.
I mean, a lot of people are predicting Isaiah Mack to make it, and I could understand the desire for a disruptor if Travis Jones isn't ready. But if he is ready, I think they're golden. Um, and again, I think 5 defensive linemen is fine in a normal situation. They only play base defense on approximately 15% of all snaps over the last 3 years. So you don't necessarily need a backup 5 tech. But if Campbell might be able to play rush outside backer if you need him because they're so short there. So that's why I would keep him for now, and you see.
Yeah, that's a great point. What you said, Vaz. I'm right there with you when that's in that situation. It's like listening to our good friend Ken. It's like it's no longer a 53-man roster. It's a 58, like how he always says, and I completely agree to that because it's all about figuring out who's going to be available when the time comes. Like how you said, when it comes to those injuries, the short-term IR with the 4 games are, that really helps out. It's I'll say it like this, and I'll say this to a lot of people. A couple injuries are okay, and it actually somewhat weird. It's weirdly it helps you keep the guys that you're afraid to lose because you can bring them back and whatever you can shelf them, right? You can somewhat manipulate the contracts, or manipulate the system. But when you have a plethora of injuries, now is putting you're basically taking up roster spots that you can't do that for a let's say what position we're talking about, the tackles right now, the interior defense. Like you can't Isaiah Max, if we want to keep on to a Roger Washington or so on and so forth, or Crawford if he was still healthy. Like now it makes it harder for those guys to come back. Like, dang, we're probably going to lose this guy unless he wants to go play somewhere else after the 4 years of is it accrued time after 4 years that the veteran can make a decision if he wants to stay with us or go somewhere else, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, so you're on team control. If you're drafted 4 years, if you're undrafted 3 years, and then you're a exclusive right free agent, and they have to put the tender, which can be more expensive. There's a lot of nuance to it. Two thoughts. Well, so you have 8 total players that can go on IR and then come back throughout the course of the entire season. So, yeah, it's great to me. To the second point, it's the Ravens build up depth by doing this. We're going to stash 3 guys on IR, and then you figure, by week 6, maybe one of the cornerbacks is nicked up, dinged up, and now you have another guy that you can just activate and fill right in. It's great strategy to me, but you only just the thing to keep in mind is there's 8 total, so you can't use all of them up in the first few weeks, and then you're going to be left shorthanded down the stretch. So it's a balancing act. That's all.
Yeah, man. Right there, you said it perfectly. It's almost you want to use it in a quarterly situation. Like, say, obviously it says, 17 games, 16 games, so every four games. It's crazy, right? Kohler comes back after 4, or let's say whoever comes back after 4 games, or Travis Jones. Now you can just flip that extra tackle or safety or whatever how you want to do it, or linebacker, and swap them out with whoever it is. And then, like how you said, another quarter happens of the season. Corner gets mixed up, knock on wood. But now we will be ready to swap them out with whoever. So that's perfectly well put how you said it.
Definitely. So I guess to move on, I think I'll start off with the linebacker group. I think Josh Bynes, Patrick Queen, Malik Harrison, and Josh Ross. Those are my 4 there. I think Josh Ross has had one of the most impressive preseasons out of all the Ravens players so far. I don't know how much weight you put into PFF grades, but he's graded above 90 in 2 of the games, and the last one was at least something in the low 70s. So he's played well. He shot through gaps. I think the problem is for me is how much are the Ravens going to weigh Welch's special team ability versus Ross's on-field ability, and in my opinion, I would weigh Ross's on-field ability a lot more than what Welch brings to the table. What about you guys?
Go ahead, G.
Yeah. So PFF is one of the good measuring tools you can use, man. But I think we're all somewhat athletes. Play some ball or play some kind of sport or whatever. And the one thing about us playing sports, whatever, when you watch people play, you already have an understanding what to somewhat feel for or look for, especially if you played against really good players or whatever. Mm-hmm. So when you see something, it can probably stick out to you tremendously, or like, okay, he understands the game, or whatever. And the one thing about Josh Ross, man, it's like maybe it's the fact that since he was playing with, under Mike McDonald or whatever at Michigan, that might be a part. But everything about him is, if he had dressed, I'm probably like this. It's gonna be funny because I'm probably a little. If he had dressed and wore number 57, just like Josh Bynes, would you be able to tell the difference?
Yeah, he's quicker.
Well, obviously that.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah,
but
yeah, that's a good point.
It's like he understands the game, and it makes it. And the way how he plays it, it looks so smooth. Like the transitions, him clogging up holes. And when he hits you, he's running through you. It's not like I'm just wrapping up and hoping you go down. Like you're feeling every force he's applying to you. So yeah, and also the coverage aspects of the linebacker. Yes. I think it was you, Vas, or somebody said like the last time we had a good covering linebacker was the CJ Mosley era or whatever.
Before CJ, man, CJ wasn't even that good in coverage.
He wasn't that good. Hey, but he was a good hook zone linebacker. Don't ever ask him to play man, but when it comes to like the hook zone, he got a couple of interceptions out of that.
They just had the Bermuda Triangle between Weddle and Jefferson and Mosley for too many years, and tight end threes were just cooking them. So yeah, I agree with your prediction of 4. I think 4 is a perfect number in a defense that hypothetically, hopefully, will play a lot of big nickel dime, and if the offense holds up their end of the bargain, quarter. Welsh, to me, is not very good on defense. Apparently his calling card is supposed to be special teams, but I was watching him closely this preseason, and he was not a special team standout. I think he missed at least a couple tackles on special teams. And I do think, and Yuri, you want me to call Yuri or Marshall? What do you prefer?
Either or.
So I think special teams we were talking about this earlier. I do think special teams is valuable, but I think you can make up that whatever Welsh brings to special teams with other players that we'll get to later in this conversation, who also bring a little bit more to either the offensive or defensive side of the ball. So I think, and I like Harrison. I think Harrison had a good preseason. I know some people were concerned about the inside linebacker group. I am personally happy that they did not devote that cap money to a Bobby Wagner. I think they're better off going cheap there with these guys. And Ross, he's a total package, it seems. I'm really excited to see if he can be the next in a long, long, long line of very, very good undrafted free agent inside backers.
Definitely, and I'm excited to have that conversation about Vas, our running back 3/4 right now. Definitely excited to have that one, but
I'm gonna die on that hill.
We'll see. All right, so we're gonna go to the cornerback room.
How about outside backer?
Oh, yeah, that's true. Okay, we'll do outside backer. Yeah, let's not go out of phase, but I think Odafe Owe. Actually, Garnet, let me kick it to you. I did mine first. Let me kick it to you. You got outside linebacker.
Well, okay, so like how Bob said, we got to play around with this a little bit. So, the get well soon outside linebackers are, that are going to make the roster, but the get well soon list is, Bowser and Ojabo, right? And then the actual active outside linebackers are probably, we know they're going to make it. Houston, Owe, Dalen Hayes, excuse me. And then after that, probably Stephen Means. I think Stephen Means, I don't know between either or Wiley, but I think Stephen Means is probably going to have the lead on it. I think those are the guys that you're going to be rolling with. So, you got 2 on two on PUP, and then you got your 2 guys to replace them right then and there.
Go ahead, Yuri.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that they could really look at adding somebody at the 5 and below tomorrow. There you go. Garnett's got it. Yeah, I've been calling for it all season. This is gonna go off the rails. Yeah, I've been calling it for all season, man. Which fingers did he actually blow off? That's my.
I have no fucking clue, man.
I think it was the pinky and the ring finger.
Nah, I think it was the thumb and the middle finger. He's like, or the thumb and the ring finger. He's like, he's ready.
Oh my god, man. All right.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I think they need to add somebody. I don't know. I don't know if they can go into the season with this group. You like Garnett said, you got Hayes, you got Owe, and you got Houston, you got Means, and there's 4. But I mean, they put Steve Means on the podium for a reason, so he's gonna be probably on the roster. But when you look at like one of those guys go down, man, you're dangerously thin. So those are my 4. And after that, man, I don't know what their plan was with Jeremiah Moon, practice squad probably. Ojabo and Bowser on PUP, and then it's tough to see them go into this season with this group, in my opinion.
Yeah,
So
but my bad. I'm sorry.
No, okay. So I had the same 4, and I think Means has earned a roster spot through his play in the preseason, and I think more than an edge rusher because I think Houston and OA and OA is going to have a monster season, I think. And Houston is a borderline Hall of Fame pass rusher, and he's still got a little juice. We saw the juice last year. So they're going to be able to get the quarterback. What they really need is an edge setter. I've been unimpressed by Hayes, but they have to keep him just because they need the body. They need the numbers there. But I think Means has earned a spot. I would be cautious about making him a handshake deal guy. He's a mercenary. He's bounced around the league, and he could hypothetically latch on. You think you're going to cut him and resign him, and you have a handshake deal, or it's not a ratified deal. So I think those are the 4. I wouldn't be completely shocked if they kept a 5th from in-house. And I definitely wouldn't be shocked if they added somebody either. But those are the 4 I have as far as week 1. Bowser is an interesting case. He's on PUP. PUP is how many weeks? 3, I believe. 4?
3, I think it's 4.
And I'm a little confused why Ojabo can't go on PUP. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but apparently that Jeff Z said that, and I know Jeff Z personally, and he knows what he's talking about. Best beat reporter in the game for the Ravens. But back to the topic, I think they're okay with the 4, with the reinforcements coming back. Bowser's a freak athlete, and freak athletes recover quicker from injuries than other players.
Right, and I think what it was is I have to look it up, but I remember reading what he said, Jeff Z said, but I think since it was an injury that went from college all the way to the pros, and obviously he never practiced, I think that's why it never could be on PUP, I'm assuming, which is weird. I have to look at what he said, but I think it was some sorts of that level. But yeah,
it's so like he hypothetically should have went on the NFI list because the injury was before he was acquired by the team, right, which is what they did with Juwan James last year. But apparently, remember when Ojabo was the last guy to sign his deal? Right. I think that was like part of the stipulation was that they could not use that designation on him. Our friend Ken and some other guys know the nuance, the really, really nitty-gritty nuance. Maybe, really dig into that. I don't think we're here to do that. But it's kind of weird. So, but anyway, we'll see what Ojabo's another freak athlete. Bowser, Ojabo, OA, the 3 biggest freak trio of outside backers of any team in the league. So I think there's guys like Adrian Peterson and Suggs and some of those guys, they can come back fast.
Mutant abilities, basically. Wow.
Definitely. So, Vas, we'll let you kick it off here. The safety group, obviously, Tony Jefferson was released today, but that is probably going to be used in the back end of this roster prediction. But who are your locks at safety?
So, I guess we're skipping corner, but at safety, I'm going with the big 4, Chuck. Well, obviously Marcus Williams, who's probably maybe going to be the defensive player of the year for this team. They've been searching for a rangy free safety since 2012, and they finally got one. Chuck and Hamilton, obviously first round pick. I think he's going to be eased in. And Gino, who I'm really excited about. I think Gino was a find. I was very skeptical about Gino this time last year. And I was like, you know what? They drafted him late. He didn't make the team, or he made the team, and then he was released in the middle of the season, and then he went to another team, and then they didn't tender him. He wasn't, but I think as far as a coverage guy on the deep third, in dime especially, I think he could be a difference maker. I think he can grab, 3, 4, 5 interceptions this year. And he's also a tone setter. I mean, his click and close, to knock, to disrupt the play and just lay a hit. I mean, he's a hitter. So I'm pretty happy with that. I have Tony as well on my week 1 roster, if not my, Tuesday at 4 p.m. roster.
Yeah, so just there's really nothing. I concur with everything that you said. From the bottom to the end, from the beginning to end. One thing I like Gino, Gino plays like, hey, this is gonna be my last time. I don't know if I'm gonna make the team, but I'm gonna do everything I can to make the team all the time. Like when you see some of these guys that step on the field, that's my biggest problem with with just the Ravens in general with certain players. It's really just a league-wide thing, but I only follow the Ravens, so go with them. It's like you'll see players all of a sudden just be more physical, either because some shit talking was happening or they're on the bubble, I should say, and all of a sudden you just see a whole, hey, fuck it, I'm just gonna put my body on the line, I'm gonna run through you. And with Gino, he always been like that since day one when I seen him dressed up as a Raven. So I'm becoming. I never thought I would say this, but I'm becoming a Gino fan. I never thought I was a Gino fan. It's like you can see it week in and week out with Gino. So mad respect to him. And Kyle Hamilton, I think I know a lot of people on obviously we do the whole Ravens spaces and all these things. I know a lot of people are hoping to see Florida State, plays every damn time with them. But you got to think, man, it just the NFL doesn't work like that, man. Especially in the situation that he's in. How we treat our safeties, we don't let them just roam around and just do crazy things on a regular basis. Like only person that ever had rights like that was Ed. So, and plus we're throwing a lot up on his plate. I think he's gonna be fine, man, down the road. Chuck is gonna be Chuck. And then Marcus Williams, I feel like that's the wild card to me. I'm still shocked that we was able to get him. And I think that's gonna help out a lot when it comes to Chuck and I think they're gonna give Marcus Williams the freedom of how Eric Weddle had after a while when he finally matched up with Chuck, and you saw the play style of Weddle was like, hey, I can take more chances because I feel like I know what I'm seeing to make those plays. So I think we're going to see a lot of that from Marcus Williams. I'm very, very high on this safety group. And what is defense in general, I'm holding them to a high-ass standard. But I think this safety group is one of the main focal points along with this interior defense. That's going to make everything gel on this defense.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat with the big four, and then Jefferson is the fifth, and I concur with what you guys are saying. I think it's gonna take some time for Kyle Hamilton to get up to speed, in my opinion. Just with a lot of the guys, Sean Wade's dad was in a space it was like 3 or 4 months ago, and he said that it took a year and a half for the game to slow down. And I think that the athlete that Kyle is, and the system, and hopefully the coaches put him in a good position to make plays. I think come week 12 or so, I think the game could really slow down for him, and you can start seeing him make plays and be that freak athlete that he was at Notre Dame. So I just think people need to take time and wait, because not everything comes right away. You gotta take it day by day. But yeah, I'm super excited with Marcus Williams. Obviously Vas was on beatdown earlier when we signed him the day after, and like that signing literally made me cry tears of joy because of how lauded he was as a free agent, the youngest, one of the youngest free agents out there, one of the top, in my opinion, premium positions. Obviously, is range of free safety. I think that's way more valuable than a corner. So I'm with you guys though. to keep it to the Ross prediction section. I think those four, and then Tony back by Tuesday at 4:01.
So we move on to corner now.
Yeah. So the reason why I skipped corner, I didn't know if you guys wanted to identify Darius Washington as a nickel or a safety. So
I feel that our Darius is like, well, I think he'll be a nickel. Like I feel more confident in him at nickel. I've seen enough. I've seen those one-on-one videos of him just going against receivers. And I'm not saying he locked up every single one, but he was right in the hip pocket of every single one. The best way to put it. I understand he ran like a 4.65 and a 4, which don't mean nothing, but the short area quickness is there, and the physicality is like the one thing I saw in the game. Against the Commanders, if he's like 5'7", right, 5'8", 5'7", somewhere around there. If he was only fucking like a 2 inches taller, he could have had his hand on a couple balls. Pause. That sounded a little, AEO moment, but yeah, he was right there to make the plays. He just didn't have a higher vertical enough to get it, or just obviously just not enough reach. But that's the one guy that's like he's always around a playmaking situation, and that's what I love about him, man. If you even notice from the last preseason to like this preseason, he's always forcing something. And I think hopefully he stays healthy. I think he can be very serviceable down the road if anything happens.
Vas, what do you got? What do you got in the cornerback room?
So I'm going a little heavy at corner, and I actually have 26 on D, 24 on offense. And this is where I probably carry an extra guy that may be disputable. But obviously Marlowe, Juice Man, Kyle Fuller, and Stevens is your two deep on the the field side and the boundary side. And then I have Pepe and Washington as the two slot guys. And then I have Armour Davis as the 7th, making the team. I could see a situation potentially where Armour Davis is stashed on IR, maybe not for the whole year, but at least for September. We'll see how it goes. But we saw last year once they got to those, what did Wink Martindale call them? The DoorDash group. You don't want that. There's not. You can't pick up street corners. The street corners are not good. The street inside linebackers are pretty good. The street running backs are pretty good. That's what we're always talking about premium. That's where I'm always talking about premium positions. There's the street nose tackles are pretty good. The street corners are not pretty good. So I would like that. And even Kevon Seymour, who was the one, DoorDash revelation last year, we should call it. I thought he played pretty well in the preseason. I think he brings a lot of value to special teams. I could maybe see a scenario where he is stashed on injury reserve, depending on the severity of the injury he suffered against Washington. But that's where I'm at. I actually have 12 defensive backs on the week 1 roster, 7 corners and 5 safeties.
That's a number right there, man. So with the Jalen Armour Davis, I'm sorry, Yuri. I'm sorry, but I don't know, man. Like hopefully one day he'll be on the field soon, get well soon. But yeah, I'm very confident with the first 3. Well, obviously when Peters get back on the field, I think Peters is going to be Peters. But Fuller, Marlon, and Peters are perfect to me on this team, especially with all the things we have around it or interior and above them. After that, Pepe, I think he's going to be – I really do think – I'll say this. You heard it first from me. I'll say he's going to be a second-team All-Pro or first-team All-Pro in like a year and a half. I I think he could probably do it this year, to be honest with you. If I think how you was talking about Voss, we're going to be playing a lot of nickel. A lot of situations going to be for him. Think about this. A lot of people not going to test on Marlon right off the back, and then MP's prestige is going to like, well, if I messed up, I'm going to this is probably a pick six. You know what I mean? So I think I see a lot of Pepe getting challenged, and I think they're going to realize, oh man, this dude's a dog. This dude can stay in the hip pocket. This man, he has playmaking ability. I really see a lot from that thing. Now, when it comes to after that, I feel confident in Kyle Fuller after that as well. I know he had probably, maybe he's just not a practice player. I mean, we always see these reports getting burnt here, burnt there, but in preseason, he did an okay job to me, I think, in the interception. So we'll see how that goes. But after that, Brandon Stevens is a little shaky. I don't know. Maybe he's thinking too much. I don't know. I can't really make excuses for him. And then Kayvon Seymour, as you talked about, I think he evolved from DoorDash to working at Little Caesars, which is okay. You know what I mean? So I'm fine with that. $5, hot and ready. Just don't get too burnt. But, Ardarius is going to be, I think him, Ardarius and Pepe, I think would be a solid just, rotational nickel guys. Or I think Pepe would be the guy, but Ardarius be a nice little rotation on the, if he makes the roster or what. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Numbers 5, I didn't even count where I'm at, but yeah, I'll see where we are. And the one thing that I would say is really the deciding factor is how serious was that head injury to Armour Davis? Because they say he was practicing today, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm in the once again, I'm in the same boat as you guys. Garnet, you kind of pulled at my heartstrings there while saying Nehemiah Marshall there in the beginning, but we'll go ahead and move past that. Anyway, yeah, I think that Ardarius and Pepe are your two slots and nickels, and then you probably have Humphrey rotating in and out of the slot and the nickel, and then Vas, you hit it on the head with the 4 outside guys. So it's a very skill set diverse group. I think the Ravens can do a lot of things with it. They can definitely send some of those slots and nickels at the quarterback. And I expect them to do it a lot because that's just what the Ravens do. And I'm pretty excited about it as long as health, Armour Davis is good. I really like the pick of Armour Davis in terms of upside and athlete. That's what kind of we can shoot for late round corners. So, yeah, I'm in the same boat. It's pretty exciting to see what these guys can do. I don't know. It seemed like today that the way Harbaugh was talking about Seymour, it seemed like he said he'll be back in a couple of weeks, guys, and he's going to be on an IR stash. So I think that's a good call, Voss, with him somehow making it on the team.
Yeah, I mean, I think again, like if you can stash a guy and then bring him back in a month when hypothetically somebody else is a little bit nicked up, it just adds to your depth. Like that's what we talk about all the time. It's not a 53-man roster; it's a 58-man roster, whatever it is. You just need to do it judiciously. You don't want to do that with too many guys, considering you only have 8 total for the whole season. That's all. But cornerback, again, that's not a position where you're going to go on the street and find guys that can necessarily play. I see we have Robert Jackson as 4th string on the spreadsheet we're working off of. Robert Jackson was not a replacement. He was a below replacement level player. Some positions you can go on the street and find a guy that's serviceable that can produce. Some positions you can't. And that's, again, why, when it comes to the draft, when it comes to free agency, when it comes to roster construction, when it comes to cutdown day, you should prioritize the positions that are not replaceable and devalue the positions that are replaceable.
Yeah, so the reason why I think Yuri had Robert Jackson over here just to show an example of what a corner should not be on this roster. You know what I mean? Right, Yuri?
That definitely got it. Not nothing to do with you. I was just I was throwing Robert Jackson's name out there just to remind people what it's like to have some DoorDash corners in the roster. Get a little PTSD in there. I gotta keep people in the racket.
Yeah, great representation right there. I see what you're doing.
Yeah, I gotta represent the DoorDashers. Gotta represent the company. But I think that does it for the defense. And we can go ahead and hop over to this offense. So
Can we go to? Can I just make a comment on special teams real
oh yeah,
quick?
yeah, go ahead.
So obviously they're keeping the three, Tucker, Stout, and Moore. For a team that is chasing the edges of the margin of advantage to the same extent that the Ravens have been doing that, which they do, and I'm not taking anything away from them. I think that's great strategy. I think that's really their strength. What year are they finally going to teach a backup interior lineman to long snap to save a roster spot? What's the over under on that one?
Yeah, abysmal under.
I think the over under is 50 and a half, Foss. 50 and a half years, and I'll take the over on that one.
Right, man. We until John leaves here, which is whatever, right? They're always going to value the big three. You know what I mean? That's you know how the vibes, man. As the young community would say. Yeah.
No doubt. I agree with that. It's just, and I understand it's not the easiest thing in the world, but it's not necessarily the hardest thing in the world either. I do think that there's an edge to be found eventually. I would say 20 by 2028, they'll have a non-special teams only player, long snapping. But so I guess the over/under is 6. I'm setting it. I'll go 6.5. So I'll take all action and minus 110, 10% vig if you lose.
Oh man.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they could definitely save a spot with getting an offensive lineman to be able to long snap, but whatever.
I mean, like, if that's the case, like how we value, when we talk about safeties, think about this. We kept co-cap for extra 2 additional years just for specialty. Like,
right.
Nothing else.
Right. And that's the whole thing is like we're all off season. Everybody's been saying we don't want to carry special teams only players, but now you're putting together the 53. Here we are last week of August, and the special teams only players are getting the nod. And I do think that's an efficiency that they should explore. I'll leave it at that.
Right. Absolutely.
Definitely. So I'll start us off with this quarterback group on who I think will make it, and then I do have a discussion for a alternative route. But I think the two are Jackson and Huntley, and then I think Anthony Brown probably gets put to the practice squad, and I'm going to assume that someone else probably picks him up. But I think that's how the quarterback room would go for me. What do you guys think?
Right there, Jackson, Huntley. I think we got like 1 or 2 more years on Huntley, so we can like play around with it. I'm very curious on seeing what Seattle's gonna do with Geno Smith and Drew Lock. That's right there. That's pretty funny, right? I think so. Ross, you might can't help me out with this, but when it comes to protection, protecting your practice squad, how does that actually unfold? Like, I understand, like, how is there a limit, or like
you can't really protect them. It's you can protect them basically like 6 days of the week, but there's 1 day of the week you can't protect them. So essentially, you can't protect them. It's like what Yuri was talking about in College Park in the production meeting. It's usually protected, but not quite fully protected.
There's always a chance, basically.
There's always a chance. So I think they're going to keep Huntley. I think they're shopping Huntley, and I think they are hoping to get a day 2 pick in exchange for Huntley. I don't think they're going to get it because he just doesn't push the ball downfield. And as efficient as he is in quick game, you know, the other 31 teams are pretty sharp, and they understand that. If it was up to me, to be completely honest, I've seen enough from Brown that he should take Huntley's job. But as far as prediction wise, I think I would predict Huntley, but I would personally favor Brown. And I think Brown combined the efficiency with the accuracy, with the willingness to push the ball downfield, which is weird because he was not good at Oregon last year. But somehow, I just think he's probably a little bit more naturally talented than Huntley. So that's where I stand on it. It's going to be a little bit interesting. We'll see. And I would probably agree that he would get poached. But then again, most teams are only carrying 2 these days. And I don't know. I can't think of too many teams that are going to necessarily give him a 53, an active roster spot. But we'll see. It's an interesting thing for sure.
Yeah, I'm real quick, Garnet. I'm in the same boat with you, Vas. I think they really should find what they can get for Huntley. Whatever position, draft pick, etc. that is. But I think Anthony Brown is just flat out better. He can push the ball down the field. I went to both the Ravens preseason games, and he certainly can throw the ball farther than Huntley. And he also, the last preseason game, he was 79% completion percentage. He put the ball where the receiver was going to make a play on it. He had that beautiful throw to Benjamin Victor where Victor's falling back and makes a catch, which he does every preseason. It seems like he's got one of those catches where he's falling backwards and whatever. But I just think that in terms of leveraging assets, I think that's something the Ravens can do with Huntley is leverage him. Seattle for a 4th, 3rd round pick. Something along the lines of that. I think they should jump all over it or come up with some sort of package. Tyler Huntley and a 4th round pick for Tyler Lockett, something like that. So I think that's where I stand. I think Anthony Brown is head and shoulders above Tyler Huntley. I'm tired of hearing people say otherwise. Garnet?
Yeah, so I'm going to steal some verbiage from Vas. I feel in my heart, I think we all agree that Anthony Brown is the second best option at the backup quarterback. But the good old Ravens way is going to have Tyler Huntley as the guy. So, Ravens way wins with this one. Obviously, I think they're gonna roll with the guy they feel I guess conservative with because that's how Tyler Huntley plays. He'll make all the short throws there for you and all those things. He just like how we always say he doesn't push the ball downfield. Maybe it might just be a comfort thing, or maybe it just might be of how the players are getting drawn up for. I really couldn't tell you. It's just like a weird situation for that because you'll hear all in camp of him having like the best deep ball, and I'm like, why we don't see it in the preseason game? Why we don't show that on display? But yeah, man, I think we're just gonna roll with 2 and just hope the guy that Anthony Brown stays protected. Like you're in your situation here.
If it's in my situation, Anthony Brown is he's burning the next morning. You know what I mean?
So just to put a button on this topic, first of all, I think Anthony Brown has more arm talent than Tyler Huntley or Trace McSorley or a lot of these bubble QB2, QB3 guys. I definitely think the Ravens are more confident that Huntley can run the offense after starting, games down the stretch last year. It's a really it's an interesting thing. I would not be shocked if they used a handshake agreement that we've been talking about with one of these vested veterans, that like a Tony Jefferson kind of guy, and there's probably 5 of those guys, to keep Brown tomorrow to buy themselves a little bit more time to shop Huntley. That's the kind of 3D chess that I think DaCosta likes to play. But I don't want to lose Brown. The flip side of that coin is Huntley was a UDFA 2 years ago. Brown was a UDFA this year. Apparently, they have a pretty good eye for identifying undrafted quarterbacks that are pretty decent. So it's an efficiency for the team again. I would say Anthony Brown is probably the player that I'm most intrigued by over the next week. I will say that.
A good call, Vas. That's a really, really good call. So how just by time for Huntley try to shop around Anthony Brown, basically obviously replacing. But basically we'll have more control over Anthony Brown than Huntley, right? So
yeah, they only have Huntley for like one more cheap year, and then it either gets expensive or he moves on. So, to me, we'll see. But it is interesting. It's definitely something to watch. It's an underrated storyline that I think a lot of people haven't quite picked up on the gravity, the potential there.
Right. I'm right there with you with the whole thing. It's just really about see what we can get for it, and just hope for the best. And see if we can rob somebody, finagle somebody. Basically, that's the best way to put
it. Go to 5 and below, Garnet, and walk out with a $10 item. Is that what you're talking about?
I mean, can you trade him to the Browns? Just massage the Browns a little bit. And,
I mean, we can do a little hanky panky. I promise you no stanky. So we'll see how that works.
Anyway, the running back group. I don't know who was last time I kicked it to, but Vas, I'll kick you to this one because we had a discussion about this earlier about Mr. Hill. Who's your starting guys in the running back group?
So I'm cutting Tyler Beatty, which is probably very controversial, and I've put that out on Twitter, and a lot of people think that's a dumb idea, and a lot of people think that's a great idea. I've had a lot of people be like, wow, I completely agree with you. He hasn't done very much. So here's the case against Beatty. He's a 6th-round pick with an SEC workload on his legs. He's like the prototypical replacement player. You can find Tyler Beatty in the 6th round next year. You can find Tyler Beatty on the street. You can find running backs whenever you want. And it's just not worth the roster spot to me when you're basically, to me, it comes down to Tyler Beatty versus Darius Washington. That's the final decision as far as the week 1 roster, and people want to get, all confused and in their heads about who's going to be on the team tomorrow and the handshake deals and all this and that. At the end of the day, you either got to keep a guy on the roster or not. And Gus Edwards is going to be coming back, and you're going to cut Tyler Beatty at some point. It's just he can't break tackles. He hasn't broken tackles on special teams. He hasn't broken tackles as a running back, as a ball carrier. He hasn't broken tackles as a receiver out of the backfield. And we're talking about against DoorDash linebackers. He can't break tackles. So that's not a good look. So I think Mike Davis is a handshake guy. You put Kolar on IR DTR or whoever. But I will pound the table for Justice Hill. That's been my guy for many years, and really what sold me was I had a press pass before the 19th season at training camp, and he put Miles Jacks on skates and completely broke his ankles. And this is when Jacksonville's defense still had Ramsey, and they were, top notch, and their inside backers and their entire defense was supposed to be really, really good. And then we saw Hill against the Steelers in the final finale, regular season finale, when they rested their starters. He had a great game, and he's a demon on special teams. He's the guy that sets the tone. I recently rewatched the Tennessee Titans, the one they won against them in 20, not the one they lost. The first play of the game, he comes down and knocks the kick returner's head off. I think there's a reason why Justice Hill was drafted in the 3rd round and Tyler Beatty was drafted in the 6th round. He's just more talented. He has more natural talent, and I think he'd be a great guy to keep as a RB3, chains of pace back with breakaway speed and explosiveness and pass catching chops, who's also a special teams ace for the veteran minimum. And I've been debating this with other people, and they're like, "Oh, you have 4 years of team control over Beatty." Well, yeah, okay, Justice Hill is going to make the veteran minimum. What's the difference between a veteran minimum running back and a rookie contract 6th-round pick? It's like a couple $100K. It's not much. So to me, I'm taking the better player. So Dobbins, Mike Davis after probably a handshake agreement, and then a re-signing later this week, Thursday or Friday, as well as Justice Hill. They can, if Dobbins is not full strength, they can certainly get by for the first month of the season with a 2-headed running back system. They did it last year with Freeman and Murray and still managed a top 5 rushing output. 2 running backs is plenty, and I will die on the Justice Hill. That's all.
Hey, I like what you do there. I'll down the hill too. I concur with your statements, and then I'll raise you one. There, if you can, I don't know how far NFL Plus is going to allow you to do it, but there's a preseason game where Justice Hill played against the Green Bay Packers, and that game stays in my head because we all knew he was explosive. But the thing about when he goes through contact, he's always going forward. It's not like falling back. He's bouncing off and going forward. And his cuts are tremendous. Like, everything about him is amazing. I think he just has a bad rap. So for some reason, people are like, "Oh, I never seen this from him." Well, when? Like, you have not? Like, it's like, well, what games are you watching? Like, because every time that I've seen him, he's doing something far beyond what any other back we had at the time, especially right now, currently with Beatty. Beatty is just, I feel like the whole SEC biasness kicks in, and I think it blinds a lot of people from what they're actually seeing. Like, we can make people making the excuses of, hey, maybe it takes some time for him to get his vision, understand hitting the holes. I mean, well, what's the difference between him and Hill right now? Like, they're playing behind the same line, and that's my biggest ordeal with the whole situation. I think, like you said, we can literally release him or trade him or whatever how we want to do with Beatty, and literally go find a back. You hit it right on the head. We had, Florida State's finest Freeman at back, like him, and then Murray, like 2 old guys.
I think Dalvin Cook might be Florida State's finest.
Florida State finest. Okay, we can go with that. All right. What about Greg Jones?
I think more Jermaine Johnson, to be honest with you. That's just.
I honestly, I do think maybe Jalen Ramsey and Derwin James might be a nice little corner safety tandem, but we'll leave the Florida State Miami debate for the next podcast. Baby.
Oh man, hey, college football right around the corner too, man. But yeah, man, we definitely got to talk about that soon. But yeah, Hill's that dude, man. Everything about him, I love him. I think a lot of people underestimate how strong he is just as a dude. I remember seeing him, he was like squatting over like 650 pounds or something, like ridiculous. Dude's nothing but a ball of muscle, and he's like lightning, hits the holes fast. And like how you said it, okay, Dobbins is coming off recovery. Mike Davis, he replaces, Gus as a downhill runner. We're still missing a home run hitting running back. Why not Hill? Beatty's not that guy.
Justice Hill brings the lightning. They got a lot of thunder. They need a little bit of lightning.
Smash and dash, baby.
That's it. So I'll be really disappointed if they do move off of Justice Hill, and I do think I'll be disappointed if they keep Tyler Beatty, because I think it's very replaceable, and I think the way that this team is always chasing efficiencies, they keeping a 6th-round, jack of all trades, master of none running back like Beatty is just really poor roster asset allocation. They can find Tyler Beatty, bagging groceries at Giant. And I'm not, it's no disrespect to him. I'm just saying there's a lot of guys that have that body type, that have that same skill set, what do they say? Jordan Davis was like the rare human theory, or whatever it's called. There's not a lot of guys on the globe that have his body type and his ability. Tyler Beatty is the opposite. He's like every human theory, whatever you want to call it.
Vaz, what we used to call it in the military, you're fucking GP, bro. General population. GP. That's the best way to put it, man. Yeah, man.
Yeah, so here we go. I feel like this is probably gonna be the first disagreement we'll have of the night. But
Whoa!
I think that we had a discussion earlier about when Gus Edwards comes back, who's gonna get cut out of Mike Davis, or Justice Hill, and I look at what Hill brings, what Davis brings, and I just think that while you guys made fair points that Justice Hill, like he's a very explosive back, and I think that maybe there were a few things hindering me mentally wise these preseason games where I was not seeing things correctly, but it just I don't know if the holes weren't opening for any of the running backs, which seemed kind of be the issue. I didn't see a lot of guys kind of break through the holes and hit the hole hard, so I just think when it comes down to it, how much do you weigh Justice Hill's special teams ability versus, let's say, Mike Davis's veteran presence ability? I think that's something that's going to be very important. And I guess I'm looking at this through the Gus Edwards is coming back view in week 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But I think that Gus Edwards, Mike Davis, getting late in the season, I think that he provides a veteran presence that is very important to this team. If you're going to go the veteran in every position group route, Justice Houston, Demarcus Robinson, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know the value that Justice Hill brings to this team that's been produced on the field that I'd be too crazy about keeping him. I like his skill set, and I do agree that Tyler Beatty can be found in the 6th round of every draft of every year because running backs are coming in. It's the most replaceable position in football besides inside linebacker. So I agree with that. It's just how much do you weigh, like, okay, keep Justice Hill or add somebody like Darius Slayton, Jason Pierre-Paul, Denzel Mims, something like that. Like that's kind of the way in my head. Obviously, the Ravens, they're going to keep him because he plays special teams and he does it well. But me personally, if I can expend that spot for a more premium position, I would do it. But that's just me.
So I definitely understand the argument for sacrificing that, Justice Hill for a premium position, whether it be receiver, whether it be outside backer, edge setter. That makes total sense to me. But you need 3 running backs, and I think he's the third best running back. And I think, yeah, maybe Davis does bring a little bit of veteran presence to the room, to the table. But Gus Edwards is a veteran at this point. I mean, Gus Edwards has been in the league for 4 years. I mean, and I definitely subscribe to the theory that you need, one veteran in every position group. And actually, you're better off with one veteran, not 2, only 1. You don't want to have 3 old guys on the D line, and then you're overweight and spending too much cap for diminishing production. But I just think he's better. At the end of the day, I think he's better. And I think when Gus comes back, you cut Davis and you roll with Dobbins, Edwards, and Hill. I think if Hill happened to be healthy last year when the other 2 guys were hurt, he would have had a monster season. I mean, he really has produced when given touches. When he's had touches, he really has produced. He has like a 5 yard per carry average over the course of his career, which is pretty much up there with Gus. So anyway, I won't belabor the point, but that's the way I see it.
Yeah, and my only thing I'm going to say this is it doesn't take parting the Red Sea for Justice Hill to get through a hole like it took for Murray on that one play where he broke for like 45 yards or 50 yards. He just needs just a small little hole. He'll tear that shit up, man.
Hey, I was at that game where Latavius Murray broke that run against the Steelers, man. That game was miserable. Man. It was in the rain, sitting down in the military seats and drunk, yelling. I thought we'd make the playoffs, man. That game was a mess. But I guess to go ahead and move on, we'll go to the wide receiver group. So obviously Tylan Wallace and James Prochet have been out for like 2 weeks now. I think that's very concerning and eye-raising, in my opinion. And I think that Tylan Wallace probably does go to IR. But to at least put the locks in, Rashad Bateman, Devin Duvernay, James Prochet, Demarcus Robinson are my 4 locks at the moment, as in they will be there on the roster at 4 p.m. tomorrow. And then from there, I think Tylan Wallace probably gets stashed, in my opinion. I don't think he's shown enough in this camp, being lauded as the 2nd round talent that fell to the 4th round, and he's out here struggling with injury. I just don't think that's I don't know. Maybe I'm just reading into it too much, but I think the Ravens could be benefiting by putting him in IR and having someone else take his spot until he's ready to do something. Because I'm kind of disappointed through these the camp and preseason. He just really hasn't. Maybe the expectations I placed on him, but I honestly thought he would do more. But yeah, I think that those are the 4 I'm rolling with right now, and I think Bridges is probably the 5th, or maybe someone they add tomorrow at 5 and below in the dollar store. So that's where I'm at right now. Garnet, what do you got?
Yeah, so Tylan Wallace is I try to add I get told I'm not an optimistic person. So what I tried to do was you know what? I'm going to pick somebody. I'm going to try to believe in them, right? So I picked Tylan Wallace. Yeah, that worked out, right? But yeah, man. The receiving core, obviously, Demarcus Robinson obviously he's going to be on the team. Bateman's hopefully those 2 guys can do their thing. After that, Prochet, I understand with the injury. I was very curious about the whole hamstring ordeal with him. Duvernay, obviously he'll be the legitimate speed threat that we have. And that's the one thing that really worries me about this team is I think Duvernay, Bateman, he's 4.39 laser time, man. It's up there, man. You just can't say he's not fast. He's fast. He can do it, but Like when it comes to just the guy that plays in the slot as a burner, because I think that's what we're going to use Duvernay a lot in the slot. I just want to see how he does when we play against the Jets, man. I'm very curious. I better not see we're probably going to see it. If I see a jet sweep, I'm probably just going to turn off my TV and just go play a round of golf or something. Like I just want to see him being used more than just a jet sweep, man. Like just evolve. Obviously, he says he's going to evolve the system, so we'll see. But anyway, just get back on top with the receiving core. Bateman, Demarcus Robinson, Duvernay, Prochet, and then I see Tyler Wallace is going to get IR, or I know he's a special teams darling, but this is where you go from weighing how we was talking about earlier, special teams versus actual, primary position production, and obviously, which is wild to me, is we got 5 guys, so the 6th guy is going to come down to Bridges or Polk. But the weirdest thing, like that's what made me so mad about. This was supposed to be a receiving competition, but we really didn't give these guys a lot of opportunity to see what we really have. So, that's a disservice to them in so many ways. I don't know. So I'll be a little biased from my hometown. I give it to Bridges just because we have a trifecta when it comes to Bateman, DeMarcus, and Bridges. They're all literally from my area, which is crazy. So I'll go with the trifecta.
Honestly, I respect the hometown bias. I really do. I think that's a commendable trait from everybody. So as far as receivers have been a hot topic all off season, we've had thousands of discussions about it. I'm pretty excited. I'm cautiously optimistic about Robinson. I think he showed some really good signs this game, the last preseason game, and if he can be that guy that threatens the deep boundary, that is the piece that can unlock the entire offense. So back to the topic, I agree with the projection that Yuri laid out. I think you need 5. I don't care how run heavy you are. 10 was still the most common personnel package in Greg Roman's offense for the last 3 years running. You can't just say we're now going to put 4 tight ends on the field for 80% of snaps. It's not going to happen. It doesn't happen. It will never happen. We're talking about the 2022 NFL, and that's not the way the game works anymore. You can twist yourself in knots and pretzels trying to pretend that you're going to reinvent the wheel, but the wheel is proven to work. The last 3 Super Bowl champions have proved that. So, long story short, I have the same 5. I think Likely and Prochet are going to be in direct competition for snaps, and I think Likely probably going to win that battle because Prochet, as much Willie Snead, Jarvis Landry comps we throw at him, and I like him, and I think he can be that piece, is not a dynamic playmaker. So Wallace, I do have making a team. I'm not sure if they're going to IR him. I don't think he's that. Honestly, I think, not to go back to running backs, but Justice Hill is better on special teams than Tyler Wallace. Full stop. But if they do decide they want to use one of their only 8 IR stashes on Wallace, the guy I would select to replace him, if he clears waivers, and he will clear waivers because every other team in the NFL has, 6 wide receivers all drafted in the top 100. I think I would probably lean Polk at this point, but that's my 2 cents. I like what Polk brings, but you got to have 5. You can't go to 4. That's just a fantasy. They carried 7 last year. You're going to now reduce it to 3 or 4. That's just ludicrous to me.
Definitely, yeah. I think you go into the season before you're really playing with fire if anyone goes down. We always talk about it, but Rashad Bateman goes down, and you are really in a world for hurt. So I agree with that, and we will go to the tight end group. I'll go ahead and kick it off here. I think that our I think we carry 4 in the season if you're including Pat Ricard as a tight end, which in this wonderful depth chart that Garnet West certified. I would go Mark Andrews, Nick Boyle, Isaiah Likely, and Pat Ricard. I think those are my 4, and I think Kolar goes to IR for a decent majority of the season. And so I think once the job comes back, that'll probably be around the time Kolar is out there. So that's where I'm at. I don't know if there's a lot of room for debate. I'll let you guys take it, but I just think that's that's the product of the Greg Roman offense. Keep a fullback, takes up a roster spot. But
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the chalk, and I think it's a chalky projection. I mean, we're pretty chalk besides 7th corner versus 4th running back, really. But it kind of fell into the puzzle pieces fell into place the way naturally. There's not a whole lot of drama for tomorrow. I will pose this question to both of you. Kolar's lanky. He's not an inline blocker, that's for sure. And we haven't seen him in preseason action, but would you spend I'll pose this question to both of you. Would you spend one of the 8 IR designated to return or capable of returning spots on Kolar, or would he be better served with a redshirt year?
Okay, so I'll just say it all depends, man. So here's my thing. Nick Boyle is like the weirdest position to me because he lost a lot of weight from what it looks like for the scenes. And the fact that I don't know if he can do what he used to do and just like ground and pound people in the blocking game. Well, it seems like they've been trying to use him more in the receiving game during preseason, but we'll see during the season. Now, my gauge from here for the whole IR thing, when your short term IR, or how we want to use it on Kohler, right? If we're trying to use Nick Boyle in a non-conventional Nick Boyle way, and we got a guy that's coming back from IR that's more conventional what we're trying to do with the previous guy, I'm all about it. But the one thing I liked about Kohler, and obviously we can't see it because we haven't seen him. Obviously, you recover from injury, the surgery, right? He's a very tactician route runner. He's smooth. Like he's like there was a tight end that came out of Stanford, Kobe Fleener. I don't know if you guys remember that guy. Like just basically a receiver playing tight end. And that's all Kolar is, to be honest with you. I've seen Kolar running a whip route, and it looked beautiful. Like, is there certain things I want to say? I think that's why they were, I'm gonna say, high on Kolar because they saw that ability to where he can create separation with his routes. So time will tell what we see from him, but that's my biggest question. Nick Boyle's my biggest like head scratcher. Like, what are we gonna see him? Because like, if not, Patrick Ricard can do what we need him to do, I should say. So as a fullback / tight end, or whatever you want to call Patrick Ricard these days. But yeah, so you have obviously Mark Andrews, Likely, Nick Boyle, and then for the 4th guy, Nick. Oh yeah. So the 4th guy, Patrick Ricard, and then obviously you're probably gonna put Kolar on the short-term IR. That's how I got it right now as we speak.
Yeah. So to answer your question, Voss, honestly, I what I think they do is I do think they redshirt him from a year, but I would look. Everyone's raving about how good Isaiah Likely is playing in space, but in my opinion, from what I saw on the film, Charlie Kolar was one of the best like spatial awareness tight ends in this draft. Like he knew how to go find zones, get open, sit down. I just he's really good at what he does, and that's finding spaces in zones. I honestly I gave him a obviously he's not the weight of Travis Kelsey, but I gave him a Travis Kelsey like comp. Like he knows how to sit down in zones and move. I I will die on that hill that Charlie Kolar is a better tight end functionally than Isaiah Likely at this moment. But obviously Charlie Kolar was injured, appendix injury or whatever it was. So
No,
that's where I'm at.
groin injury. Same thing as Bateman, and we saw what happened to Bateman. Um, so this is where the Ravens, just completely their best player available theory philosophy just hurts them. There's only so many move tight ends that you can put on the field at the same time, just like there's only so many box safeties that you can put on the field at the same time. That's what we saw the Ravens do for most of the last decade at safety, and I feel like the same principle applies. I mean, you can go four wide, 2 by 2. There's only two slots. You can't you're you can't you can't just like be like this guy's you can't just invent the slot if there's no guy outside of him. And you have two, Y or F tight ends. What are you going to do with the third when you also have Prochet and Duvernay and some of the other guys trying to produce from that position where they're at their best? So, I won't be upset if they try to mine a little bit of production from Kolar in the second half of the season, but I do think it's a consideration. Again, you have 8 IR spots. Could you better use those on a guy that is better to help you go chase a Super Bowl in 2022, the last cheap year of Lamar Jackson, maybe the last year of Lamar Jackson, period, potentially, but definitely the last cheap year. I do think that maybe that's an avenue to be explored.
Hey, we gotta have a conversation about that another time because I know we're running here long, but another day upcoming. We'll definitely dive into that. But Garnett,
Yeah, no, I already said what I had to say about the tight ends and it's like really is this all about what you value and whatever. Like my whole thing, like I said, was Nick Boyle. Is Nick Boyle gonna be Nick Boyle? And then if Nick Boyle's that guy, we can rest Kolar for IR him or whatever. But if not, man,
the Ravens love paying injured tight ends. They love giving contract extensions to injured tight ends. They made Dennis Pitta one of the 5 or 6 highest paid tight ends after he broke his hip, and that contract haunted them. And then they did the same thing with Boyle, with making him the highest paid blocking tight end in the league, and then restructuring his contract and giving him an extension. They also gave Derek Wolfe an extension. I mean, that's just, I don't know. That's one area. That's one facet they need to reexamine.
Right. They push money down the road on the wrong people. That's just, I never understood that shit, man. Like, I really like same thing with I understand the whole loyalty of what they're trying to achieve, the whole Vin Diesel project family. You know what I mean? That's they always preaching that, but like literally Tavon gets hurt. Tavon's looking at EDC, hey man, I'm sorry, just give me one more year. Don't worry, bro. We got you. We'll give you 2 more years. Like we do this all the time with players, man. So you're right about that, Voss.
yeah, definitely. I think one last thing I'll say in the Boyle, and then we move to the O line group. I think that if he does come back to form, he is like a 6 offensive lineman out there. I do think he can pass that well and he can run block well if health, is back up to speed, I do think he does provide some value out there. But you know, it's got once again discussion for another time. After this year, I think they need to do something with that contract. He's $9.5 million against the cap, and they can probably save at least 5 or 8. Boss?
I don't think Bo is getting back to form, and I hate to say it, but I've watched him pretty closely this preseason. It's been a lengthy recovery for him. As G said, he lost weight. He doesn't have maybe that sand in the pants to be that pass blocker that he used to be. And it's a sunk cost, and it's unfortunate. I wish, but how are you going to pay Boyle and Ricard at the same time? Like that's just poor asset allocation.
Right. I think, like I said earlier, Boy was GP to me now until I see otherwise.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go to the O-line. Let's
yeah.
go. I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off, Marshall.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Boss. Kick it off with the O-line.
All right. So O-line, I think they're keeping 10. There is precedent for them keeping 10. And I think, you got the 4 tackles. What do you call them? SC Stanley?
Oh, Street Clothes Stanley? Yeah.
SC Stanley,
Yeah.
who apparently was activated from the PUP, but still
is Street Clothes
isn't practicing. Honestly, I ran into him at Jimmy's like 2 years ago, 3 years ago maybe. He was like picking crabs with Chris Moore. And I'm like, man, what kind of all-pro offensive tackle picks crabs with a special teams ace wide receiver, first of all? And he's not even that big. He's big, but like, I met Osemele, I met Yanda, shook hands with Yanda. Stanley isn't necessarily imposing. He's kind of like slumped shoulders, like, I don't know. But anyway, I hope he can regain that form. I think Lamar Jackson made him a lot of money because he was not anywhere close to all pro when he was protecting Joe Flacco when the rush ends had the option of using inside counters, but that's a story for a different day.
Right.
Hopefully he gets back to serviceable level, because if you get a serviceable left tackle season out of him, that's going to be, beneficial. Moses, Fa'alele, and Jawan James, who I think probably can be an okay left tackle. Lamar is so dynamic and so special that he can deal with pressure coming from one side. As we saw last season, if it's coming from both sides, he's dead in the water. But if it's coming from one side, he can evade that, and then McCary, who can he play? He got his ass whipped on a play where they put him in late and he just couldn't set the edge. I don't think he can play left tackle personally. Right tackle, and I know our friend Cole thinks that armament doesn't matter. I think it's a game of inches, and I think it probably does matter a little bit more than somewhere in the middle. Anyway, that's 5 guys who can play tackle. On the interior, you have Linderbaum, who actually, your boy, Linderbaum, who looked pretty good. I think he looked pretty good, especially coming off injury, and I think he'll be ready for week 1, considering he played 3 series. Zeiler's the anchor, the stalwart, the savvy vet, and then you got a 3-way competition at the other spot. I personally hope Cleveland can win that job because I think he has the biggest upside. But then you also have Tyree Phillips and Powers may be trade bait. But if you're looking at the roster today, on Monday, the 29th, I think you got 10 linemen on this team.
Yeah, go ahead, Gary.
Oh yeah, no. All I was gonna say was I feel like this is probably one of the rabbit holes we'll fall into with the whole Ronnie Stanley situation. But I'm gonna say some things that are a little out there. But I just I'm really disappointed they didn't practice today. They said that it was part of a plan, and I really am starting to question whether or not Ronnie Stanley's priority is. Well, I understand that. Okay, he wants to stay healthy as a human being, regardless of football. I understand that, but if there is a will, there is a way, and it feels like last year he obviously shut it down pretty early, and he comes back this year, and maybe I'm overreacting off of one day of him missing practice, but honestly, I just think that I'm really uncertain with what Ronnie Stanley is going to bring to the team this year,
I mean, it's
and
been 10 months. It's been 10 months. Like,
yeah,
he needs one more day. Like, come on now. Like, let's be
yeah,
real.
yeah. I think good friend of ours, Jason at Huddle Up Films, put it best. He went to the grocery store to get some milk, and he has not returned since. He's getting paid $50,000 to rest a day, a day per year. So I just think it's really is time for him to get out there. Eventually, you got to work that scar tissue off, man. You got to get out there. Got to get the mind and body control right, the functioning right. So I just think he needs to get back practicing. And in my opinion, if Ronnie Stanley's play a football game this year, he needs to retire. I think it's just the team needs to move on. He's counting against 18 the cap this year, and then goes up and up and up until the point in 2024 we can cut him. So I'm really disappointed. I'm mad, but it is what it is, and hopefully he can come back to form like Boss said. But honestly, it bugs me a lot. But Garnett, that's my rant.
Yeah, I feel you, man. Like, I wish to be honest with you, I feel like I wish I could be Ronnie Stanley, man. Basically not go to work, get paid. You said $50,000 a day.
Take a day off on Tuesday after being off the whole weekend. Yeah,
Like think about hey boss, I'm not coming in. I'm feeling under the weather. From what? I don't know. I can't tell you, but I went on a boat trip. I just didn't never. I can't feel. I don't feel right. Like that's what it basically is just we're running it. That's why I call them street clothes Stanley. I'm not type of dude that it's all fun and games. I don't know him personally. All is well with him, but it's crazy from the whole fan standpoint. It's like, damn man, they're really paying you $18 million a year or $19 million a year, and you're not even doing nothing. I just don't get it. Like you walking on some sand, that's cool, but like when the last time you put on some cleats, bro? Like it's or when the last time you seen it? Like that's my biggest issue with Randy Stanley, man. Last minute putting on some cleats and pads. We saw what happened last year. You know what I mean? Like your body's not really ready. You haven't had any one-on-one contact drills, none of that, just the bare minimum. And I get it, you're a veteran, but at the same time, like you have to think, Lele is looking up at you. Like a lot of these young guys that are coming in that, Pro Bowl Ronnie Stanley here, I can learn a lot from him. Wait, learn a lot from what? Sitting on being at home? Like that's my biggest ordeal with the whole thing, man. Like obviously he's eating up money, but it feels like he's almost robbing the organization in a way until I see other notice.
No, I agree with that. And apparently, the rumor mill through the grapevine, he can't feel his foot. I mean, it was a bad injury. It just, it destroyed the nerves in his ankle and his foot and all that stuff. But if the team's, I mean, I think it was the biggest contract they ever paid to anybody, including Flacco. You owe it to the team to get out there and see if you can and put your best foot forward. Or put your left foot forward. Maybe he'd be better at right tackle. I don't know. It's just
I was going to suggest that, boss. What do we think about him? Maybe going to right tackle and
that's his plant foot, right? So
yeah.
the left foot is his plant foot. So I think I don't know, but he's got to do. You can't just cash checks and chill. Like that's not. The Ravens have a history of this now at offensive tackle from Jared Gaither, Eugene Monroe, and now Ronnie. And it's not a good look. It's not beneficial for the team. So I hope that tomorrow, he puts the pads on and puts the street clothes in a locker and you know puts his best foot forward. It will be a big step for the team. They're kind of hurt by this contract. I mean, he's like 10% of the cap right now, and you can't have a guy that's 10% of the cap doing not giving you anything. Give him something. Give him a little something. Um, and he's not going to retire because it's guaranteed, right? Because they try to get a little slick with the cap, and they're like, we're going to pay you 21 AAV instead of 24, but we're going to guarantee it and XYZ, whatever. I don't think he's a make or break player as much as some people say, but he will be helpful. That's if even if he what if 70% of Ronnie Stanley is still better than Juwan James. So you got to give the team that effort at least.
Yeah,
I,
definitely.
I
Go,
can,
Garnet.
I can definitely feel that, with that part. You had me down with all these pun jokes, man. Oh my god, that shit was hilarious. But yeah, like I said with Stanley, man, I just want to see him in some pass. I want to see him, but at the same time, though, it's like it's so hard, like in any business or really any physical sports or whatever or any kind of sport to just a week and a half later, just to put on some pass and then whatever. Hey, you go do your job. It doesn't matter who you are. You're gonna feel some shit, and that's my thing. It's like they. I don't know how. Like, maybe it's his thing, or maybe it might be the doctors or whatever. Like the new doctors that we got that came from Tennessee. I know the workout plans. I don't know, so I'm just real curious about that. Like just obviously the money invested in them, and I don't. If you know your body better than me, I can't judge you on that. But it's just the whole ordeal. If you can't feel your left foot, and if you're committed, you're already telling, hey, I can't feel my foot, but I'm committed to the process. I'm committed to the team. Like, well, other than this foot part, what is really stopping you from, hey, fuck it, let's just do this? You know what I mean? Like, that's the weirdest situation about this. It's crazy that we're spending so much time on the guy with one foot right now, but yeah.
Right. Well, the other thing is they took him off the pup list. So like if he wasn't ready to go, leave him on the pup list. But the doctors physically cleared him. Seemingly he wants to. It seems like there's mutual interest that he wants to get on the field, and he's just not on the field yet. He's yet to practice. He's yet to be in individual drills. It's a very confusing situation. But obviously we spent a lot of time on it. And we have another spot left on the offensive line to get to, in my opinion, with the left guard situation, which has been very, very, very confusing. As once again, friend of the show, whatever Cole Jackson pointed out earlier. When I was at the game Saturday, it seemed Ben Powers was out there in shorts and shirts. He wasn't on the field, which would indicate either one of two things: either they are making sure he's healthy so they can trade him, or he's got that left guard spot locked up. In my opinion, I think it was Tyree Phillips' job to lose, and I don't know how much Tyree Phillips has proven that he is the left guard day one. From all things that are coming out reports, it seems like Ben Powers is their guy at left guard day one. But that could be trade bait or that could be true. We'll see tomorrow at 4:00. But I'm in the same camp that Ben Cleveland provides the most pass protection day one at left guard, and I would prefer him to be there. But the coaches really have a hard on against him from the things I've heard. They really do not like him. So I don't know. I really don't know where you guys are at the left guard spot, but I do think that day one. It's going to be Tyree Phillips, hopefully. But I'm just confused, man. I'm honestly confused. There's so many mixed signals.
I'm not a big Tyree Phillips fan, to be honest with you. He hasn't shown very much. They've been playing him at tackle. He's not a tackle. He's definitely not a tackle. I'm hoping Cleveland gets a job, and I actually hope that they trade either Phillips or Powers. And Powers is serviceable. He's a replacement level guard. At the end of the day, left guard is not going to make or break this team. Left guard is probably the second least valuable position on the entire offense. I don't know. I do hope that DeCosta can swing some trades. I mean, they only have their natural picks next year. They don't have any comp picks coming. If they can if they can trade a Huntley or trade a Phillips or trade a Powers, then they'd have a little bit extra ammo next year that they can trade down with and pick the value positions with.
I do have a proposition. What if they did trade Ben Cleveland, because they did that with Bredesen the year before, where Bredesen had more team control, so to say, to the team that he got traded to. And once again, Cole brought that up as a trade proposition, that they trade Ben Cleveland because of the upside of how young he is. I am very curious to see which one of those three get moved, but I do believe that one of them do get moved, Vas. So that's where I'm at.
I think Ben, I mean, you almost got me saying it now. Ben Powers is the guy that probably is going to get traded. Like when you talk about Yuri, he's that 1999, whatever, ShamWow or whatever the hell shit they be selling on QVC. But wait, there's more. He can play center. You know what I mean? That's what they do. You know, that's what we were doing with Ben Powers. Like we just advertising at multiple positions. Like, and then you know what? Shipping and handling is free on us. We'll send his ass to whatever team you want, right? Because I think, how much he's like, he'll save $2 million if we move him, correct? I think $2 million.
Yeah, yep, $2 million, and then the replacement comes in for like somewhere between 800 and 1.2.
Yeah, so we save money by moving Ben Powers. So like, I don't see Cleveland going nowhere. That's Harbaugh's, pet. I'm just calling him a pet. That's crazy. I just call a grown ass man a pet. That's his boy or whatever. That's his guy that he drafted or whatever. I understand it's a little doghouse for the failing of the physicals or whatever, the conditioning test or whatever. But at the end of the day, that's his guy. And Tyree Phillips, God bless his soul, he played everything in the world and was never good at nothing. But hopefully, he gets his stuff together. If he stays on the scene and he'll be a starter, I don't know, man. It's really, I call this the battle. Like, we was talking about GPs. This is literally the battle of the GPs right now. I'm hoping.
Hey, Garnet, you ever watch Game of Thrones?
I have some
They call it Battle of the Bastards. That's what it is.
Battle of the Bastards. All right, we can roll with that. Well, yeah, man, it's real. Whoever gives you the best. I think of Cleveland, he's the best pass blocker, as you talked about. Phillips, he might be a good run blocker, if I remember correctly. And then you just got Ben Powers, who's just serviceable, right? Yeah, exactly, right? We're in that situation, but like how Vas says, so he's one of the least valuable positions on our team. So is what it. We just need the guy to just be serviceable and just help out Tyler, T-Bomb, or that's why I call him T-Bomb, and just hopefully just help out there and just a lot, which will allow him to get to the second level and pick up that linebacker or whoever is coming downhill.
Right, and I guess to put it on, put the bow tie on the gift package here on the offensive line group. I think I subscribe that you can hide one offensive lineman on the O-line, and I think as long as Jawan James is healthy, you can hide that left guard spot with whoever you put out there. And I think that Tyler Linderbaum will be solid, especially if they cater to the zone concepts this year, which is something that I've been very, very advocate about. I think Baltimore Ravens want to run zone this year. They have it in the playbook. Through all of Linderbaum's snaps in preseason, they ran at least 3 out of 4 of them were zone concepts. So we'll see. I feel okay about the offensive line. It's not going to be as bad as last year. I think somebody will be able to play left tackle at a decent level. Whether it's Juwan James, Makari, Moses, whoever, Stanley. So I'm okay at the left tackle spot and the left guard spot because I can believe one of them you can hide. But to bring it to our last segment, I guess the whole practice squad and IR stuff. I think that for me personally, I guess I'm just gonna skip around position groups and say the guys I think that start on IR right away. I think on the defensive line and edge group, I think that Travis Ojabo is definitely a lock for IR. Obviously, Tyus Bowser is already on the pup. I think that Travis Jones, with the hyperextension, he could be he could be back week 2, week 3, week 4, something around then. But you may as well just toss him on there, just to save a spot. But who knows? But I do think they carry at least 5 guys on the IR going into the season to staff roster spots and hopefully bring guys back. But Boss, what do you got on the IR and practice squad stuff?
So I think they need to be careful with how many guys they put on IR to start the season because, again, they have 8 total. And, these guys are getting nicked up in practice. Guys are going to get hurt during the regular season. You don't want to be in a position where, one of your big-time guys, one of your starting corners or whoever, knock on wood, is hurt and you don't have the space to put them on IR for that. So I had 26 on defense, 24 on offense. The debatable spot is Beatty, is Adarius Washington making over Beatty, 7 corners and only 3 running backs. I have Edwards and Bowser on pup. I have Kolar, Ojabo, and Kevon Seymour on IR DTR. My practice squad is Anthony Brown, Tyler Beatty, Josh Oliver, Makai Polk, Tristan Colon, Isaiah Mack, Shamar Bridges, Ben Mason, Jeremiah Moon, and Chuck Wiley to give a little depth at outside backer. Also, Nate McCrary as a potential game day activation at running back. Defensive lineman Aaron Crawford. Depending on his injury, they could waive him with the injury settlement and then re-sign him back to the practice squad. McKenzie, and I said Mac earlier, and then Riley Webb, Jacoby McLean, and Christian Welsh. I don't really know why they would keep on the practice squad, but I think they will.
That special team value, man, it plays a vital role in those the Ravens' way. You got something to say? Oh, you shake your head? Well, go ahead.
Look, me and Voss had a DM back and forth earlier, but I don't know. I special teams, man, it's just I just think that the way we value special teams, I sent something to Voss earlier. I think you can get 80% of name X special teams player that is not a kicker or punter for 5% of the cost. I know. We also talk about 80-20 at like slot wide receiver and run defense and such and linebacker. But honestly, I'm not saying anybody can play special teams, but I do think that it's one of the least valuable phases in the game, obviously. So that's where I'm at. I do think that the Ravens should veer away from that this year if they really want to maximize what's going on offense and defense. And that's kind of where I sit. I just think that someone like Welch, I feel like you could swap out for another dart throw with a lottery edge or wide receiver or tackle, and I'd be okay with that. But yeah, honestly, I think we did a pretty good job on this. We're in an hour and 44 minutes, which is long, and I know you guys got work tomorrow and jobs and wives and kids and divorces and such. But
I'm just gonna drink more beer when we get off, so I'm good. Man.
yeah, hey, we don't. Yeah, once we end this, we don't have to log off, so to say, because I'm on number 8 right now. So if you guys got any final comments for the roster or anything, go ahead and spit it out.
Yeah, so I'll just end this with the final comment with the same theory that I've been presenting for since 2015. Positional value is the way to the Super Bowl. So when it gets down to the nitty gritty and you don't know who to cut and you don't know what to do, and it's one guy's tied with another guy, or you drafted some guy in the 6th round, you gotta favor the player at the position that's not replaceable. Inside linebackers are replaceable. Running backs are replaceable. So my probably 2 semi-controversial takes: Tyler Beatty will make it to the practice squad, and Christian Welch's special teams contributions are not worth a roster spot. And literally, if you make those 2 moves, you keep everybody else of consequence. And that's my final thought. Premium positions, positional value is the name of the game. They want to be efficient on offense. They want to be efficient on defense. Why don't you be a little bit efficient on roster construction?
Amen. I guess I you know that you said it before all the time, and it always sticks in my head. I just don't want to fuck it up. But you said what Daniel Jeremiah used to say all the time about how playoffs is all about star power, health, and then just a little bit of luck or something of that nature.
Depth wins in the regular season. Depth definitely wins in the preseason. We know that.
Right.
Yeah, but depth wins in the regular season. Stars win in the playoffs. And that's coming from Daniel Jeremiah, a guy who was born and bred by the Ravens and was brainwashed by the Ravens way and came to that conclusion on his own. To me, that carries a lot of weight because of his background. And I think it's very true. It's very, very true.
Right. And he basically just listened to Move the Sticks, all the time. And the biggest thing, it seemed like he got baptized by the Los Angeles Rams way of doing business. It hit him, and I would never forget the podcast. But they was like, "Hey, you know what they did? They just rotated linebackers. Corey Littleton came in, and they got, hey, well, you feel like you like on the mark, we'll let you leave. We'll just get a guy from the 3rd round, we'll replace you. And guess what? They got Ben Jones, 3rd round, replaced him. And like that's what I think he really understood. Like, yo, if you have all the star power, especially on defense, generational type of guys with Ramsey, obviously Aaron Donald, and then you just got Alshon Robinson, just guys that can like literally contribute. That's all you need. Like, and then on offense, it's like, think about this situation. It's crazy to me. People like, a lot of old heads. I'll call them that. I'm not gonna disrespect them more than that, but a lot of old heads are stuck in the Ravens way so much where if you bring up like a lot of people are mad that the Rams won their way because it really went against their agenda, which is hilarious to me. So the Rams went basically. Odell Beckham was about to be the Super Bowl MVP if he would have stayed in that game. They lost a star, and then another star was like, "Hey, wait a minute, I'm a Triple Crown winner. I can take over this game." Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't understand like how people are mad at the Rams or like, why did you guys win? Because you were supposed to you didn't supposed to win like that. Now I can't prove my point. It's just a weird.
Yes, 1,000%.
Yeah.
And you know what? The Ravens way had a lot more credence before they went 9 years in a row without making a conference championship game. You know, that does not have any sway anymore. You know, and I agree with you completely. People want to be drafted and develop, and they're mad that it was actually disproven. And the Rams have been all in for 5 years. The Saints have been all in for 8 years. And guess what? They're still outbidding the Ravens for free agents. The Saints.
The guys that were over negative 70 million gets Tyrann Mathieu, Jared
Landry. And Landry. You know,
and Marcus May.
And Marcus,
you know, if they're robbing Peter to pay Paul, like I want to work for Paul because Paul may not be as tough. But anyway, that's another podcast we could do next season if the Ravens don't advance deep in the playoffs this year.
Right. Yeah. Hey man, right now, in the words of altered words of my guy Russell Wilson, you know, Ravens country.
Let's ride. Let's ride. Hey, Garnet, hold up. Look, if in case I don't get on Huddle Up Films this week on Wednesday when you guys do the podcast, because I did throw something in Jason's DMs about getting on there, but to put out my
I'm trying my best to move it, man. I'm trying my best.
Yeah. To put out my my best Ravens country. Let's ride. See, look, I'm not criticizing, but I'm just saying Russell Wilson has a certain tone in his voice, which he says, "Let's ride," and I think I reflected the best out of you, Jason, and Ashley. And here's my best. Ravens country, let's ride.
Oh no, it wasn't bad.
It's a up and down. It's an up and down. You were full hard Southern accent. Ravens country, let's ride. You got to go up and down with it.
No, so when you deliver it, it has to be like Ravens country, let's ride. You know what I mean? You have to be more vicious on the back end, man.
Oh, okay. Let me.
Just for the record, I prefer G's rendition of that one.
I told you, it's like Ravens country, let's ride. You know what I mean? It's more the emphasis.
But the emphasis is really on the country, in my opinion. I think it's more of like Ravens country, let's ride. It's high on the country, low on the ride. I could look. I'll send you the DMs, the videos after this is over, and it's picture perfect.
No, but think about the last one he did in that whole thing. I can't remember spending time with this. The last one, he felt it. He was like, Ravens country? I mean, we said Ravens now. Broncos country? Let's ride. Like he was like, Broncos country? Let's ride. You know
he was like, Broncos country? Let's ride.
I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense because they're a horse, right? I mean, they got the, you know, honestly, if we should have kept the colors, but that's another podcast. You know, there's no reason Johnny U's name should be in Indy. But anyway,
right?
Yeah. So I guess to put a bow on this knot before we end the broadcast and go off the rails. Yeah, honestly, I think the future outlook of this team and the 52 prediction, I think we hit all of it on the head for the most part. I think when you look at it from a 360 globe view, like Spencer beautifully put on podcast Beatdown earlier, if the Ravens want to save money, they got to kick away from the devalue positions, in my opinion. If they want to fit Lamar Jackson's contract under cap, I think that they really do need to take a hard and very, very long look at where they can save money on positions that are not important. And obviously, they doubled down on that this year with drafting tight ends, center, strong safety, which Hamilton doesn't really classify as that because he's a coverage specialist. But I do think that the Ravens can save money with moving away from such a depth-floored team that we are if they really want to fit Lamar Jackson's contract under the cap. And I do believe that there's the money is not the reason Lamar Jackson is not being extended. I think just there's the trust issue and blah blah blah. Another thing for another podcast. But yeah, honestly, I really like the outlook we gave. Just to go back through it real quick, just the offense, the defense. I do think we hit a lot of things with the head, and we'll be very curious to see the cuts that are made tomorrow. Who's brought back between Thursday, Wednesday, and Friday, and we got, I think it's 10 days from now till the week 1 game starts, if I am not mistaken. Or at least that's what I saw on some graphic. So I'm pretty pumped. I think this team is ready to go. I think this team rivals the 2019 roster. We are the underdog in every fashion, and that's where I like the Ravens being. The Ravens are always the underdog story. Never when we are the favorite are we usually winning the football games, but when we're the underdog, I think the Ravens, that's when they perform the best. So I'm pumped. I'm ready to go. Who the fuck cares if Ronnie Stanley or Lamar Jackson, the quarterback week 1? Let's just ride, man. Let's just see what happens, and if the wheels fall off, so be it. But until the wheels fall off, I'm ready to see some guys play football. But fellas, if you got anything else to say?
So, this was fun. I appreciate you guys inviting me on this. Always a pleasure to chop it up with both of you. I think the Ravens have a top 3 defense this season on paper. Top 3 run defense, top 3 pass defense. I think they have a top 3 rushing offense. I think they have a top 3 special teams. The passing game, the passing offense is my concern. We'll see if it's enough, because all the trends are saying you can't be a middle of the road when it's a must-pass situation. You're going to encounter a must-pass situation, and how do you respond to that? So we'll see. But I'm really excited about this defense. I think this is going to be the best defense they have had in a long time. So we'll see if that old-fashioned formula works. And if it doesn't, then it is time. We can all unequivocally say next offseason, they shot their shot. They tried to redo it. They tried to run it back. It didn't work. And now, finally, we have clarity, and it is time to pivot. Or if they make that run and they break the wheel and prove that it can be done with the old school way, then we can say that too. I just want clarity out of this season. That's my ultimate goal.
Right. No, I'm, the caveat what you said about the defense, this should be a top 1 or 2, 3 defense. I got super high standards. I want to hold every one of these guys to a standard. I understand the offense don't do their part. Obviously, if they're getting, they're going to probably get dominated on the time of possession. That's the only excuse I can give to this defense. But when it comes to this offense, Greg Roman, hey, time is ticking, brother. You got all the pieces that you needed. You got your offensive lineman, mad depth at the tackle, guard. You got center play. You got a couple backs that you can play with that are actually, a little younger. They got a little juice on their legs. You got all the tight ends in the world that you would like to play with. You also got a couple, supplementary receivers that you can mess with. So, this literally is on Greg's hands right here. So, and also, just like I said earlier, I guess I want to see Lamar. It's cool that, I think, in the social media era where we talk about, you can watch a couple of highlight films of what they do in the summertime and all these things. But I want to see it in play, especially in a game situation where, just clock management and all these the little small intricacies of the game. So once I start seeing that, and let's see what Greg do, man. Like I said, you're on the clock, Greg. This is your last year under contract. Let's see what you got, because you got everything you need. Marshall, you there? All right.
Well said. Very well said.
Yes, sir. Well, yeah. I guess we're about time for Marshall to close this out, but yeah. This is crazy. This is perfect time. Just like leaving us hanging like Ronnie Stanley, huh? Jesus.
There he is. There he is.
All right. Yeah, we I guess I'll run it to the 59-second mark here. We'll cap it off at 2 hours. But yeah, fellas, I really enjoyed this, to be honest with you. I would definitely be down to do another one very soon, maybe after the 53 cuts go down and such. I think maybe later on this week, next week, something like that. We can get more into the the preview of what to what this. Obviously, we'll have clarity on what the roster is going to look like, and EDC, while as much people give the hate that they give him, he loves working the fence. He may not always put out offers that are the best, but he at least works the fence. So I expect a lot of moves to be made between now and Wednesday, and I'm very excited to see what happens. But we'll go and end this, and we can turn into terrorist mode. But once again, appreciate you guys for joining, and love it, man. See you guys.